Alright, today we're going to be changing the oil in a 2012 Yamaha Grizzly 700. The things you're going to need to do this are a 17mm socket for the drain plug, a 10mm socket for a splash guard, and an oil change kit. You can buy all these things separately, but Yamaha sells them in convenient packages. It comes with the right amount of oil, filter, and the gaskets for your drain plug. And on the back it gives you specifications for all the different models that it covers, the exact amount of oil you'll use, part numbers for the filters, drain plug gaskets, and the part number for the kit itself. So inside that Yamalube oil change kit, you get 3 quarts of 10W40 oil, an oil filter, and various different gaskets for your drain plug, and they all have part numbers on them, and you just look on the back of the box to find which one fits your ATV. They also provide a small sticker you can put on your ATV with how many miles and hours it has and the date you last changed your oil. Alright, to access your oil filter, you're going to need to take off the splash guard right by the exhaust on the front left hand side if you're sitting on the ATV. You got one 10mm right there, one 10mm right there, and if you look in behind there, you can see the oil filter. You can probably reach it without removing this guard, but it's going to make it a lot easier just to take out those 2 bolts. Okay, so the splash guard's been taken off, and now you can see we have much easier access to the oil filter itself. Now a good thing to do is start up your ATV and let it run for 2 to 3 minutes to warm up the oil and ensure that it drains good. Alright, you don't need to let it get so hot that you'll get burnt trying to get the oil filter off, since the exhaust pipes run right by it. Hopefully you'll be able to undo it with your hand. If not, you might be able to get some sort of a filter wrench in there, but I doubt it. You can always try wrapping a rag around it to get a better grip to loosen it. Okay, if your oil filter is too tight to get off by hand just by reaching in, and or you can't fit a filter wrench in there to get to it, you can remove the bottom skid plate to gain access from the bottom to get a little more leverage, and you might be able to get a filter wrench in there. Now this Yamaha Grizzly is equipped with a snowplow, so it has a different skid plate than factory because it has the plow mounts and it's metal. I believe the factory one might be plastic, I'm not sure. But it hooks on with 4 U-bolts, 1 on each corner, and these ones are 12mm. So we'll get these taken off, the skid plate dropped down, and then show you accessing the oil filter from underneath. Okay, so now you can see that the front skid plate or bottom skid plate has been removed, so you got access from underneath the oil filter. Okay, so we're under the ATV now. There's a center frame cross member, and there's the oil filter from underneath. And this one is really tight, so I'm going to put a filter wrench on it. And a lot of filter wrenches aren't small enough for this size ATV and lawnmower oil filters, so you can wrap a rag around the filter or on the filter wrench to get a tighter grip on the filter itself. Alright, so I can't get this filter off even with a filter wrench with a rag wrapped around it to get a tighter grip on it. I've never had this much problems getting off a filter off of anything, let alone a small engine like on a 4-wheeler. So what I did was, with the bottom skid plate removed, there's enough room to get a big pipe wrench around it. It'll give me more leverage, and the teeth on that pipe wrench are going to bite into that case on that oil filter and allow me to spin it off, hopefully. There we go. Doesn't take much once you break that seal, and you should be able to turn it off. So the oil filter is broken loose now, and you can see the dents and gouges that pipe wrench put in it. That's how much force I had to use to get this filter off. So I'm guessing it's been on there for the life of the ATV, which is only, I think, around 1,200 miles. But still, whoever put it on there put it on way too tight. Alright, next step is to get a drain pan underneath and break the drain plug bolt loose, which is 17 millimeter. Alright, so there's the drain plug. You can see it clearly. The skid plate that's on here for the plow mount, you do not need to remove in order to access this drain plug, but we did remove it so we could get the filter off because it was so tight on there. Hopefully we'll have a little better luck with the drain plug. Hopefully they won't be in so tight. See, that's about how the filter should break loose too. Just a little bit of torque on it. As you can see, the oil is dark and ready for a change. Okay, here's the new oil filter. Comes with a clear plastic cover over it to keep it clean. Make sure you remove that before you install it. There's where your filter goes back onto. Here's the new filter. Make sure you rub a little bit of oil around the O-ring so it makes a good seal. Twist it on. Now this does not need to be anywhere near as tight as this one was taken off. Just take a rag so your hands don't slip if you have oil on your hands, and just make sure it's snug. It doesn't need to be super tight, or problems getting it off when you go to change your oil next time. Alright, one other thing I like to do before putting the drain plug back in and refilling it is to dump some fresh clean oil into it and let it run through into the drain pan, just to make sure everything that can be washed out is out of there. So the dipstick and oil fill is on the left side of the ATV if you're sitting on it, right above the footwell. There's usually a small plastic screw cover that comes off to reveal it. Mine was missing when I bought the ATV, but you just pull your dipstick out. Here's where you check your oil. You're going to need a funnel. And this ATV, for an oil change, according to the box, takes 2.2 quarts. And it comes with 3 quarts, so that leaves us almost a quart we could pour through for just rinsing it out. But I'm just going to pour, you know, maybe 6 ounces through it, and then watch by the drain plug where it runs out into the drain pan and see if it's coming out clean or dirty. You can see the oil running out down there. That's the fresh oil. You can see it getting lighter and lighter. And there's almost clear. It's clean, fresh oil running out the bottom. So I just poured in a couple splashes. Here's the oil jug. As you can see, it's about 26 ounces left from the 32. That's 6 ounces of oil. Just dump through it to rinse it out. And then put the drain plug back in. Dump in your 2 full quarts that are left sealed. And then save the open one that you used just to top it off. Okay, we're putting the drain plug back in now, and that is 17 millimeter. Nice and snug. I'm sure there is a torque specification from Yamaha that they don't want you to over tighten, but a good rule of thumb is go hand tight, and then just one little push on the ratchet should give you about the right torque on there, so you won't have a drip, and so you'll be able to get it out next time. Make sure you wipe any excess oil off around here so that if it does start to leak, you'll be able to notice the fresh oil. Only thing left to do now is fill it up with oil and then run it for a couple of minutes to fill the filter and get the oil in the engine. Then leave it set for 10 minutes and recheck the oil to make sure that you have the proper fill level in it. Okay, so we have our 2 fresh sealed quarts of oil. I'm going to go back in. It's 2.2 quarts for this. Just go nice and slow. Don't overflow your funnel. There's 1 quart. Alright, 2 full quarts. Now, like I said, this is supposed to have 2.2 quarts of oil, according to the back of the box. I don't know if you'll be able to read the printing on here or not. Hole 7 to 15, Grizzly 700, 2.2 quarts. 2.22 quarts. So that's just under 2 1/4 quarts. Quarts, what, 32 ounces? A quarter of that is 8 ounces. So if we look on here, got 26 ounces. 26 minus 8 is 18. So if we bring it down to 18 ounces, right about there, that should be perfect. So I'm going to pour it until 20, just to be safe. Then start the ATV and run it. Get the oil filter filled up and the oil distributed throughout the engine. Then I'll let it sit and cool down. All the oil drain back into the bottom. Check it on the dipstick and add if necessary. Okay, so I ran the ATV for about 5 minutes, letting it warm up and the oil distribute through the engine and fill up the filter. And you can see drain plug, no drips forming. And by the oil filter itself, you also want to watch for any leaks or drips during the first warm-up period. And that was also good. So now we're going to leave it cool down, and while it cools down, we'll put the skid plate back on the bottom and the splash guard on the side. Then once it's done cooling down, check the oil at the dipstick for proper level, top off if needed, and you're done. Okay, so one last thing I like to do when I'm done with my oil change is to grease all greasable places on your ATV. Find the little grease zerts like this on suspension and steering components, and make sure they're full of fresh grease every time you change your oil. For a full list of all the spots to find these grease zerts, you can consult the manufacturer or the repair manual for the specific ATV that you have. Thanks for watching. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video.